everybody, and I am so happy to see you all. It is starting out bright, and I am Noreen Savage. In case we have not met before, I'd like to introduce myself. I am nobody official with Bright Line Eating, first of all, but I have really gotten a lot out of the program, and today is a very special day for me personally because it was day one of practicing 2 years ago. July 1st, I decided to stick my toe in the water and only give up a couple of things, but that was my start. And then 3 weeks later, I went all in. So July 1st is a big day for independence for me in a small way. But anyway, I learned about the program from my friend who posted on Facebook, her private page. And she said, if anybody was interested, just let her know and she would give you the scoop. So I quickly went over to my messenger and got a hold of my friend Lori, and she proceeded to tell me about the 4 bright lines. So if you're new to Bright Line Eating, there are 4 bright lines. There's a book by Dr. Susan Pierce Thompson, and we hold these 4. No sugar, no flour, 3 meals a day, and weighed and measured portions. And when Lori told me that, my heart sunk because I thought there's absolutely no way I could do that. But here I was in that point of time in a lot of pain. This was in May of 2019. And we got together for a lunch. She told me more about the program, and I let it sit in my mind, in my heart, thinking, can I even do this? She suggested that I get the book and that I get into the Bright Line Eating community. And at that time, I got into We Eat Bright with Lines. It's a private group. There's now many private groups. There's an official public group, which is Bright Line Eating Official. We have Starting Out Bright, a private group. So there are many places people can go. And I was in just awe of the people I was meeting online and the people who I was seeing online. Especially I was taken in by the photographs, the then and now pictures, which were giving me so much hope. And when I decided to start this, I told myself, I promised myself that if I lasted 1 year on Bright Line Eating, I get choked up, I would post on Facebook like my friend Lori did, and I would help anybody I could. So I'm a Christian, and I got close to that date, and God told me, Noreen, you can do more than that. You know, here it was the time of Zooms, and you could get people to know each other and have these that you have seen so successful help those who were desperate like I was. And so that's how the Zooms were born. And little did I know that they would just keep going. I think today's number 47 this year. And there are times when I will say, Lord, you know, can you just affirm that this work here is what you want me to do? Well, one of those days I said that. And before noon, I ran across Patty's post on the official group. And I was struck by her humility, by her helpfulness, by the hope she was giving. And I just reached out immediately. And guess what? She got back with me right away. And so I felt that was quite an affirmation. So without going into any more, I want you to meet Patty Lanier Lyons. Patty, welcome to Starting Out Bright. Thank you so much for being here.
Hello.
And the other day, we got a chance to talk. What a fun conversation. That was great. And, you know, I told a little bit about my story. And I didn't even say at the time I was 270 pounds and 5'2". I've now hit Wonderland, so I'm just under that 200 mark. But where were you? I mean, you can take us back as far as you want. But my understanding is you didn't grow up, you know, with a lot of weight on you, but when I contacted you,
I did. Yeah. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for having me. Very kind of similar story as far as finding bright line eating. But for me, I grew up very active, very fit. I could find myself often saying, I wish I were as fat as I thought I was back then, but really never had a weight problem. But looking back, always had horrible eating habits. So I can see now points of, I've been an addictive eater my whole life. It wasn't until after I had my daughter, she's now 18, that the weight started really kind of packing on. I might have, before I had my daughter, and I was 31 when I had her, I was really, really active. I was a spinning instructor. I worked out a lot. I cycled, I swam. I would do kind of sprint triathlon. So I did enough to keep things at bay. I can remember telling people with the way I eat, I should weigh 300 pounds, almost kind of bragging, and then my whole world changed. My daughter was born at 25 weeks. She weighed just 1 pound, 14 ounces. And I actually spent 5 weeks in the hospital on Trendelenburg bed rest before I had her. And then she spent, 11 weeks in the NICU. So it was kind of 16 weeks being in the hospital, basically. My husband and I ended up separating and ultimately divorcing, got fired from my job, which was okay because my daughter was going to be my full-time job at that point. And so, kind of every aspect of my life was just touched in some way, changed, just kind of dramatically changed, kind of a 180. And I never went back to exercising. And I don't know why, it wasn't a conscious choice, but I never just got back to exercising. But I continued to eat the way I've always eaten. And pretty soon, I hit that 200-pound threshold. And you're like, oh, that threshold you think you're never going to cross. And then it's like, okay, now I'm 211. Now I'm 225. Now I'm 250. And so when I hit 250, that was about 2006. I tried LA weight loss. That was kind of the thing at the time. And had some success. I got down to, I think, 190. But then Adriana, that's my daughter, she started having a lot of medical issues. She does have severe physical disabilities. She requires total care. So, kind of doing that. But that was a period of time where we were in and out of the hospital. And so whatever success I had found with LA weight loss quickly went away. And fast forward to, January of 2020, and I was weighing in at 353 pounds. I think my heaviest was probably 360, but I don't know because it's really hard to find scales that could even measure you when you're that big. And had really just honestly given up on myself and my life. I can remember my oldest nephew got married in July of 2018. And I was at a point where I had felt good. Like I was kind of doing keto, but I really wasn't. But, had kind of decreased sugar and just felt better about myself. And then I saw photos of me from the wedding. And the effect that had on me was it just crushed me. And I completely gave up at that point. It didn't motivate me to kind of make the change or do anything, but I just completely and utterly gave up on myself. And so, about, probably spring or summer of 2019, similar to you, I had a friend, posting on Facebook, and I'm just kind of hiding back, didn't say anything to her. And finally I was like, well, let me just look this up and see what it's about. So Googled bright line eating. And as soon as I read no sugar, no flour, I was like, peace out. This is not for me. It's not going to happen. And so just kind of continued on. And then January of 2020, for my job, I'm always in my car. And so I thought I should be listening to books, let me do Audible books. And so I got a freebie, free credit. And for some reason, the bright line eating came to my mind. And I was like, that'll be my freebie. Let me listen to that. And so started listening to Susan tell her story, and share the science and psychology behind, the bright lines and, why it's structured the way it's structured. And it just resonated wholeheartedly with me. And it was like, I've got to do this. This is what I've got to do. And so knew I was going to sign up for the boot camp. And, I just followed the steps and wasn't sure if it was going to work or not, but I knew I needed to at least try.
Yeah.
So
let's just stop there for just one second, because, as we talked the other day, we both just love the science part of this.
yes,
for me, I literally read the first 5 chapters and shut the book and said, I'm going to get fit, but for you, you have gone, as you said, through everything in your life changing. Your relationship, your job. Now you've got a new job. Your child needs, a lot of help. That means you.
Yep.
What was the science piece that really spoke to you? Because you do have a medical background. Was it just everything, or was there, were you just experiencing the willpower depletion every part of your life, or?
I think.
What in particular?
And I don't know if others can relate to this or not, but it's like, I know what to do, but I can't do it. Like, I know exactly what I need to do, but I just can't. Why can't I do it? I'm capable of hard things. Look at all of these things I've endured in my life. I'm a single parent raising my daughter on my own. I went back to school, became a respiratory therapist, totally revamped my career. Like, I've done these hard things, but I couldn't do this. Mm-hmm. And so listening to that science and understanding that, sugar and flour, for some of us truly are drugs, and have a true chemical impact on our brain chemistry. And it changes our ability to do something, about it. Like, yes, I know what I should eat, but I wasn't making those choices. And it's like, okay, why am I not able to make those choices? Or why am I able to make those choices for 2, 3, or 4 weeks? But, I hit kind of that 4 or 5, 6 week mark. And by golly, I'm back to my really bad habits again,
Yeah,
So
I'm also wondering, Patty, that here you were very full of exercise in a prior life. What did you think when you read her recommendation not to do exercise? Were you relieved? At 300 some pounds.
Relieved.
Okay.
Oh, I was so relieved, because that's a really big mental block to know, like, I used to be able to do all of these things, and now I can't even walk a quarter block without being winded, needing to find a place to sit down. I truly was planning my day, planning my routine in my house to minimize the number of steps I needed to take. There's a stool in my daughter's bedroom because I would need to sit to care for her because I couldn't do it. So I was truly at that point where, I am literally killing myself with every bite I take, and I'm not going to be here to care for her if I don't do something.
Yeah, Susan talks about, we said this the other day, suicide on the installment plan.
Yes.
And you talked about your nephew's wedding. I can't imagine travel for you.
Well, thankfully it was local, so I didn't have to travel, but I can't, I couldn't travel. We drive a lot. One of the things that I've noticed, my daughter is, wheelchair dependent. And so, we live in a garden apartment. Like, I don't do stairs just because I have her. So then for me to have to do stairs independently on my own, I couldn't, I'm pulling myself up by, the handrails, to do that. And knowing like we're never going to be able to fly anywhere because I can't fit in a seat, and I'm too mortified. I'm not buying 2 plane tickets or so if we can't drive there, we're not going.
But then you mentioned even like you went to Chicago one time with your family or friends, and just life then was very different. What was that like?
It is. We did a girls' trip to Chicago, and I even planned it. My niece, went to the Art Institute there, and it was her senior year, and I thought this would be so fun. we'll go see theater. And, it would just be a great girls trip for everybody to go. And so you've got my mom, you've got my aunt, they're in their 70s, my sister-in-law, nieces, and my daughter, and not even realizing like, okay, once you get to Chicago, it's all walking. You're not driving places, you're walking places. And to top it all off, we had just gotten her service dog. So her service dog had been with us for maybe 2 weeks. So now I also have a dog I need to take care of and a dog I need to take out and walk. And, in the city in Chicago, it's not like you got a patch of grass right there for you. And so, thankfully my cousin and my mom, they kind of helped me with that. But I can remember we were all going to go see my niece's apartment and then go to the theater. And it was like, okay, well, where's your apartment? And it was like, well, it's like 5 blocks in the opposite direction of the theater. And so it was like, I had to tell them like, I can't go. I can't walk that far.
Wow.
And it was like, okay, I can meet you guys here. Like, and I'm picking locations where I know there's going to be some place for me to sit. So that I can rest and do what I need to do. And, again, that, it was a mortifying experience. It was an eye-opening experience, but it didn't move me to change. It didn't move me to do anything different. I just continued on.
So far, nothing had worked. We talk about like we should know better, but we didn't really know the code. We didn't really know. And so here you are. You're working in your car, basically, servicing with people, and you get the Audible. Did you immediately go and sign up for something? Or what did you do?
I knew that this was my answer. I accepted really pretty early on, I am a food addict, and really came to full acceptance of that sugar and flour truly are drugs for me, and that I was going to have to give those up, because I've tried, and I would try to minimize things. I would try and give up Coke. That was my big, Coca-Cola is, that was my thing. And I would say, one sip and it's back, like I can give it up, but man, if I have one sip, then it's back to, that's pretty much all I drink in a day. And so that piece of it, that truth hit hard, and I accepted that, like, okay, I need to do this. And so I knew I was going to do the boot camp, and set my start date for January 18th. I kind of looked for a weekend start. That was a Saturday. And so that gave me some time to finish the book and kind of get prepared. And I just kind of found myself gradually kind of adopting, some of the lines. And so I kind of told myself, well, why don't you kind of just push yourself to just eating 3 meals a day? Don't cut out sugar or flour yet. Just continue to eat what you're eating, which was lots of fast food. I didn't cook, ordering, restaurant meals from DoorDash, going through the drive-through, those were my meals, but I at least kind of pushed that to 3 meals a day. And then the Saturday before I was scheduled to start, I didn't have any Coke in the house, and it got to be about 1:00 in the afternoon, and I had that telltale headache. I was miserable. And I just made an intentional thought of, okay, you're not going to go out and buy Coke to kind of feed that caffeine headache. Just take this weekend to basically detox, and do that. And so I'm glad I did, because it was a miserable 36 hours. I really, truly felt like I had the flu, just kind of shakes and chills and nauseous, and, spent most of the weekend just, sleeping in bed and, getting up to kind of take care of Adriana. And, thank God she likes watching TV and YouTube, because, she'll watch her shows and I can get some sleep and kind of nap in between. But did that detox. But then that week, continued to just kind of eat. I think I switched to Sprite, so didn't have my Coke, but I had my Sprite, right?
Had you given up your Starbucks by then?
I had not. No, I did. That would have been me giving up Starbucks. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Cause my typical morning my typical morning routine is I'd go through the drive-thru at McDonald's, get my large Coke and whatever my breakfast food might be. Then I'd hit the drive-thru at Starbucks and get my venti white chocolate mocha and my banana nut bread. It's like you just look at it's like, oh my, how did I consume all of that? And that was just breakfast. That was just getting me started for the day. But I'm really glad.
I didn't know what a venti was. And I looked it up after we talked. There are 74 grams of sugar. That's 18 teaspoons of sugar in one of those.
Wow.
Yep. Isn't that something? You can't even imagine it.
Wow.
It's just amazing. But anyway,
yeah.
So you're in the boot camp. What were the tools that you learned that really propelled you into getting the weight off? Because wow, you had success right away, right?
I think it was that, first of all, fully accepting I'm an addict and realizing you really don't know what to do. You didn't have the answers. You didn't know what to do. Don't let yourself tweak it. Don't think, well, I know better, or let me try this, or I really truly followed the plan, really pretty strictly, just because I knew myself, and it's like a tweak here and a tweak there, and I'm not going to be successful. So really fully surrendered, to the program and to the boot camp. You'll hear people say, you come all the way in, sit all the way down. And I really did, do that. I went ahead and bought the meditation add-on that they offered with Monique Rhodes. Because that was she talks about kind of habit stacks and having your morning routines. And she talked about, meditation is one of those things that can help replenish your willpower. And, so I thought, I've never meditated before. I'll give it a shot.
So how did that work?
That, I think, truly for me was the linchpin to my success. And it's been the linchpin to my holistic healing, because I have not just released 204 pounds at this point. I have reached a point in my life where I genuinely like myself, genuinely feel that I am lovable and I am worthy. I'm a person who really my entire life struggled to feel as though I was a lovable person, that, I was worthy of love, have a really challenging relationship with my father. And, I can look at the men I chose to date, and then even my husband, they weren't the best choices for me, but they reaffirmed that belief that I'm not lovable and I'm not worthy. I think that's one of the reasons it was kind of easy to gain the weight after I had my daughter and, separated from my husband. I don't know if that was almost kind of a protective layer that as I got heavier and heavier, to me, that just makes me that much more unattractive, that much more unlovable. But then it's not me. I'm not being rejected just because I'm fat. And
it's you.
Yes,
it's obviously you, that it's not me,
but it kept that romantic aspect out of my life. Like I didn't have to be rejected again. So it kind of protected me from that in a way, to not have to face that.
Are you having to acknowledge that now, though?
I am. I've done a lot of, the meditation, and I've done some of Monique's classes. She has a happiness baseline class that she teaches. And so, just really learning about self-care, about self-compassion. And it just helped me kind of deal with all of those things that I guess kind of that underlying reason of why do you eat the way you eat? Why are you, I would say I'm an emotional eater. I eat because I'm stressed. And that's, in the book, she talks about your triggers, your signals, why those things are, why they are the way they are. And so with meditation, it helped me to kind of create a space between the food thought and then acting on that food thought, to then be able to take that thought captive and not give into that and acknowledge it for what it is. one of my mantras really early on, if a food thought would pop into my head, is to say, you're not hungry. This is not hunger. You've never known true hunger in your life.
Mm-hmm.
What is going on? And I would take a couple deep breaths and kind of, survey what's the situation. And it was most likely things were starting to get stressful with work.
Mm-hmm.
Or, I'm driving by Starbucks, or I'm driving by the McDonald's that I would normally pull in at 3:00 in the afternoon to get my afternoon fix. It's like, this is that signal. This is the signal. Hey,
neural pathways.
Yes.
They want to go that way.
Yes. Yeah. But that was enough to let that thought pass, and kind of that hunger thought or that craving, pass, and kind of keep control of that. And so, I would say within maybe 4 to 6 weeks, I really wasn't having any of those anymore, because just really focused on taking those thoughts captive and not giving room for them, to lead me down that path.
And you said that when we talked the other day, you said you so love this meditation, the 10-minute meditation, that you even have Adriana have one.
I do.
There is a subscription purchase for it. And
Yes.
And it was so cool. Today, I found out that there's a special price for Bright Line eaters.
Okay.
So I was sent that link. And
nice.
So I can share that if somebody's interested. But
yes, yeah. I did the add-on for boot camp, and then of course boot camp's in. So then my meditation ends, and within a day, I was like, no, I want my meditations. And so I looked up Monique Rhodes' The 10-Minute Mind and joined. And then as you said, Adriana, we deal with some anxiety and things like that, and so I would go in and meditate with her. But it's a great app program. So you follow your progress, and you're, completing when you've done a lesson. And I found I didn't want to share with her. And then I'm having to go back to try and get her where she wants to be. And I thought, you know what, I'm just going to buy her own. So she has her own separate membership. It's on her phone. And they actually used it to help with her, her aides at school, have used it for her at school. And so it truly has transformed everything for me. It's, I thought, okay, I'm going to do boot camp, but I obviously I'm going to have to meet with a counselor. There's a whole lot to deal with here.
Right. It's
but
not
I haven't
just
had to,
about
I
the
did it
food.
with Monique.
It's not just about the food. How many
It's not.
say it over and over? It's not just about the food.
Yep.
As we're dealing with food now, because we're drawn to that, I believe. Last night I'm in a situation, I'm thinking, I'm going to take a couple days off from work. So I'm in vacation mode. Well, of course, when you go on vacation mode, you party, right? So my mind is thinking that, and I'm like, no, you're not doing that with your food. You can, be glad you don't have to turn on the email, but it's a different mindset. So, someone asked, what is the meditation called? And what is it again?
The 10-Minute Mind with Monique Rhodes. It's RHODES.
And I will send that link in the Starting Out Bright.
Okay.
So that people have that. Because
I think you get a 1-week free trial, so you can kind of try it out.
Yeah.
She's from New Zealand. She has an incredible accent, so I love to just hear her.
May I ask you this too? Is it more is it just, as you say, like a holistic yourself kind of meditation, or is it more on a Christian level, or what is it as far as?
She's really, I guess, is it agnostic? I mean, it's not faith-based, but it's not anti-faith. It's really kind of like Bright Line Eating is, they meet you wherever you are. So for me, I am a Christian, but I had truly walked away from my faith. I think I was probably pretty angry with God, and kind of, really was not praying, wasn't going to church. And so this journey with Bright Line Eating brought me back to my faith. The meditation has brought me, closer to God and better prayer life. And So it really helped with that. But with the 10-minute mind, she really is teaching you how to work with your mind. And what I've come to know wholeheartedly is that everything we experience in our life begins and ends in our mind. The thoughts that we have, the emotions that we have, that really is going to dictate how we show up in the world and how we experience the world. And if we don't have the ability to kind of take those thoughts captive, kind of really work in that kind of battleground between our ears, we're going to suffer a lot, and things are going to be much harder than they need to be. And that's what I've really, come to embrace over, the last year and a half. Despite, a horrific year, there's a lot going on with COVID, and, unfortunately our family is one of the families where we lost 2 family members to COVID. They actually died 3 hours apart from each other. You've got my daughter's, facing some serious medical issues and a big surgery. Just work, it's a hard year for all of us. I know we all probably have kind of that list of challenges. But I can say throughout this whole year, when each of these things kind of started to pop up, I didn't have that first thought of, I want to eat. My first thought was, I want to pray. I want to meditate. So those habits are getting hardwired. My food, I really did achieve that automaticity that she talks about. I've got my habits. I've got my kind of core meals that I like to eat, my go-tos. That was never, I was never worried. My mom was worried. My mom was really worried, as things would pop up and things would get hard. She was really afraid for me that, I was going to break my lines. I said, Mom, I really am good. Yes, it's hard and I'm not okay, but I'm not thinking I want to eat my way through this. That's not my first thought.
Well, you talk about the mental part, but you did something physically different too. You said you changed where you ate.
I did, because one of the things she talks about are those signals, those triggers that tell you it's time to eat. And with my daughter, she has a G tube, so she's, fed through her stomach. She eats a little bit by mouth, but not for meals. So it really is just me for meals. So I would just sit in front of the TV and eat all the time, or I'm eating in my car. And, she talked about, kind of creating a space. And so I thought, I need to start eating my meals at the kitchen table. So I had my 3 meals a day. I sat down at the kitchen table, turned the TV off, put the phone away, didn't have technology present. And I realized that allowed me to be really mindful of the food I was consuming. And it allowed me to appreciate each bite. And on top of that, then I started praying, before each meal, and quickly developed kind of a prayer and mantra. I don't know if anybody's done the boot camp, but one of the things with the boot camp, right before you start day 1, Susan takes you through what she calls a crossing the line meditation. And that resonated so deeply with me. And so a lot of my mantra, I kind of pulled from that. But so before each meal, and I'm not 100%, but before the majority of each meals now, I still do it today, is I'll pray and I'll say, thank you for this meal. I ask, Lord, that it nourish my body, that it heal my brain, my spirit, and my soul. If I was trying something new, if I was getting ready to eat something where it was like, I'm not so sure about this, I would say, right. I'm like, prepare my taste buds to receive this. And then I would go into kind of my mantra, and, I would say, I crossed the line. And for me, I crossed the line 531 days ago, and I live here now. I keep my food clean. I eat with integrity, and my lines are bright. I'm mindful. I'm steadfast. I'm determined. I'm filled with hope and certainty, clarity and focus, energy and stamina. With you, Lord, I am unstoppable and I am eternally grateful.
Wow.
And, week 1 of boot camp, those things were not true for me. Those weren't realities for me. But I feel like I manifested those over the next 8 weeks, the next 10 weeks, to where as I sit here today, those are true. Those are, that is how I live my life today. And I think it was enough to say that when I have a thought, if I'm weighing out my food and I'm a little bit over, that line, I eat with integrity, that pops into my head. And for me, this isn't a diet. It's not something I'm doing until I reach a certain point. This is just how I live. And I realized it's not about being rigid. It's not about following some program. It was really about building that integrity with myself and having that relationship with myself. And it kind of goes back to, you don't feel like you're lovable and you don't feel like you're worthy. So then why would I honor the promises I made to myself?
Wow.
To where now today it's like, no, I am worthy and I will honor my commitment to myself.
Now, you said that this is not about being rigid, but how rigid are you with the program? Do you have to catch yourself, or have you become what is considered a crystal vaser? And by that, for someone who's new, that means you've never broken your lines. And I ask you that not to be nosy, but because I believe that there is room for everybody.
Yes.
Whether you follow it this way or that way, as long as you have integrity with the program.
Yes.
What you're doing, not trying to sneak around and saying, really, I'm doing it right. But
right.
Yes.
I am a crystal vaser. As you know, from when we talked on Sunday, I hate that term because it gives me this impression of like, it's so fragile. And I feel like, after 531 days, like, I'm kind of a rugged clay jar. Like it's, it's solid, it's breakable, but I don't feel like it's this thing on the shelf that I'm not really using. But,
well, Tony, Tony, I'm drawing a blank, but he was on and he was saying that it's like you hold a crystal vase. It's not like you are it.
Right. Okay.
It's like, it's important to you. And not that our programs aren't important to us, those who have not, but it's like, this is what I do. This is how I do my program. And it's every day. And, to me, I feel like that's a gift to yourself. I think it's a gift to your daughter too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I know myself enough to know I can't have just one. I can't have a sip. It's not about, well, you can, it's, you're this far down. I started maintenance a week and a half ago, so I'm 8 pounds away from my goal. And, it's not like, okay, oh, well, maybe you could have to, it's like, you know what? No, and I'll say that to myself. One of the other things I'll say, not today, Sabo, like, nope. You are not getting in there today, because it's like you feel strong. You feel like I've got this. I'm good. I'm not going to react to the sugar or the flour the way I did when I weighed 353 pounds. And then it's like, oh no, Sabo, nope, that's still there. Like, nope. But I think the other thing too is I don't look at the lines as being restrictive. The first week of boot camp, one of my core verses that really helped me get through the birth of my daughter and kind of all of that turmoil that happened in 2002, 2003 for me was Psalm 16, 5 and 6. And the Psalm says, "You've assigned me my portion and my cup. You've made my lot secure." And here it is. "The boundary lines have fallen for me in safe places. surely I have a delightful inheritance. And so from the very beginning, I looked at those bright lines as my bright boundaries. That is my safe place. And that's where I'm going to have the life that I want to have. And I think that was really, really helpful to not then have that kind of restrictive, you're being deprived of something mindset. Instead, it was very much, this is my choice. This is my safe place.
Yeah.
This is where I want to be.
Right. And we also talked about the narrow path and the wide path. The wide path that leads to destruction.
Yes.
And
narrow is the path that leads to life.
And I want to ask you a practical thing too.
Yeah.
Here you are, we're now kind of getting out of COVID times. You're going to get together with people. You obviously have a family who, celebrates with you. What about all that? How are you starting to handle going out? Because here you were the fast food person, and
all
the stuff. How are you with parties and things like that?
Here's the crazy thing, Noreen, is that I not only cook the majority of my meals, I now make my own nut butter. And I'm a person who, when I first tried to find almond butter, looked in the butter section in the grocery store, did not realize it would be like peanut butter. It's a nut. That's how little I cooked and knew about food. But I make my own nut butter. I make my own chunky marinara sauce. I make my own salsa. I have fun with kind of recipes, and people will kind of talk about a recipe, and it's like, okay, well, that's not right, but if I take these ingredients and do this, I can have something similar to that. And I can feel like I'm having my burrito bowl or my chicken pot pie so, I mean, I love it. That's kind of what fills my time. Instead of eating all that junk food, I fill it with prepping my food, and with cooking my meals. And for me, I prep ingredients. I don't prep whole meals ahead of time for the week. I'll cook up some chicken breasts, slice them, and those are ready to go. I'll brown some ground beef, put some taco seasoning on it so I can have kind of some Mexican flavored meals. Chop up vegetables and chop up my fruit so it's ready. I can just toss and go. So I'll do that. The first time I went out, well, I will tell you, I was 2 months away from turning 49 when I started boot camp. So when I started boot camp, and I'm 5'7", if anybody's curious. And my goal at that point, because at that point it really was feeling like I am on top of this impossible mountain. How am I ever going to climb down? And I thought, you're going to be turning 50. You've got a year and 2 months and you're going to be 50 years old. So my goal when I started boot camp was I want to weigh 200 pounds. Like if I could be 200 pounds by the time I turn 50, that would just be incredible. And I hit Wonderland at Christmas. Wow. So that was, and my birthday's in March. So Christmas of 2020, I hit Wonderland. So that was like, okay, all right. So then I had to set a new goal for when I turned 50, mid-March. And so I thought 175, let me hit 175. And so I hit 175 a week before I turned 50. So it's just kind of been coming. So then of course it's like, the other thing with me for the weight is definitely suffered from depression, and I completely isolated myself. I cut myself off from family, friends, and really just didn't live for, a good 15 years, really kind of cut myself off. So one of the things with Bright Lines and with 2021, my goal was to connect, to reconnect with old friends, with family, and to really just be fully present in my life. Well, that means going out. That means going out to dinner and doing those things. And so I really kind of followed the tips that Susan gives you, and everybody knows I'm, Bright Line Eating. So, they're very conscious of it, very supportive of it. So looking at, is this restaurant doable for you? Looking at the menu ahead of time, kind of figuring out what I can eat, what I can't eat. And then I bring my own salad dressing with me, so I make my own salad dressing and I just bring that with me. So that way I know I'm covered and I'm good there. When it comes to get-togethers with family or friends or at people's houses, I'll either eat before, just depending on the timing of it, or I'll just bring my food with me. I don't have any problem, eating what I want to eat, and they're good about it. They're like, well, is this compliant or is this? I'm like, don't worry about it. You do you. You have what you want to have, and I'll bring my own. You don't have to worry about
they
it.
have seen such a transformation, but I'm
Yeah.
sure at the same time they wonder if you can keep it up. Because let's be honest, I've lost a bunch of weight, and people saw me gain it back.
Yeah.
And so I would not be surprised if someone's just waiting in the wings going,
Right.
Yep, any day now.
Any day. Well, and it's so funny because
Nobody's mean like that.
I know. I have 4 nephews. God love them. They are hilarious. And they're adults. Like the oldest is going to be a senior in college. And through my mom, they're like, well, what's she going to do for Thanksgiving? And what about Christmas? And, she's never going to have this again, or, and I would just chuckle and laugh. And it was like, I get it. I like, yes.
Mhm.
And those thoughts come into my mind. And then I say, is it Thanksgiving? It's not. I don't have to make that choice today. Am I staring at a piece of chocolate? No, I'm not. I don't need to make that choice today. So for today, this is how I'm eating. And so it really truly is, it's that mantra, it's one day at a time. It's one meal at a time. And you can't look too far ahead. And that's part of that meditation process. That's part of working with your mind, is realizing that nothing exists except this moment we're in right here and now. Yeah. That lunch doesn't exist anymore. My breakfast tomorrow doesn't exist. So why am I putting thought towards that right now? Let that go.
And it's really true. We are, just like my situation last night. I had to deal with that moment. I had to talk myself down from, I may be taking a couple of days off, but I don't need to have a party. I had a nice meal. I'm not hungry. So,
right.
I will just get some tea. I'll just soothe myself. There are other ways to, celebrate. I want to celebrate bright.
Yes.
I really do. And the time is getting away from us. I can't.
Sorry.
No, I'm just so sorry that it's going so fast. But, you have had an incredible journey. The whole life. Just you went from the cycle, spin. What are you doing now with exercise? Because I saw pictures of you with Adriana that you sent me.
Yes. So Adriana, there's an organization called Team Heart and Soul that helps people with disabilities participate in endurance events. So community 5Ks and 10Ks, half marathons. She's done 4 half marathons. She's done 4 triathlons. And so it's individuals who are her teammates that then help her to participate in these events. And so for, the last 6 seasons, we would go through that, and it was like, boy, before I had you, like I could have been your teammate, but I can't now. And so it's like one day, maybe one day, maybe one day. And so this year, on January 1st, we did our first 5K together. It was our first on the first 5K. And so we set the goal that we're going to do 52 5Ks together in 2021. So that's one a week. And right now we're on track. And then May was actually our first in-person 5K event with Team Heart and Soul since COVID. And that was the first chance that I was officially her Team Heart and Soul teammate. And so that was, that's a full circle moment. That was a pretty sweet moment. But exercise wise, that's really all I'm doing. I haven't kind of gotten back into strength training or lifting or anything. I'm not doing anything 2, 3, 4 times a week. I think it's just that natural increased activity level. I'm able to get out and walk Solly. It's just around the block, but I can get out and walk him and kind of do those things. I did take a cycling class for the first time in 20 years last Friday, and I was able to get through the whole class, which was great. My butt still hurts today from it, but I got through the class.
I mean, just think about this. This is just absolutely incredible. Like 350 pounds. Now you're doing cycling. You're doing a 5K once a week with your daughter. I mean,
walking. I'm not running, but walking it. Yeah.
But I mean, now do you help her with the wheelchair? Is that what you do, or do I?
Yes, I push her in her chair. Yes, yeah. So we have a special racing chair that she's in. It's not just me walking, I'm also pushing her too. So yes. Yeah.
That's gotta be way up there in the non-scale victories then.
Yes, definitely it is. And it's, a sweet thing that we're doing right now is I'm actually planning a Disney trip for us because she's never been and she's a Disney fanatic. And we had asked the question, okay, and this is mid-COVID. COVID's no longer a thing. Everything's open. There's no limitations. You don't have to worry about money. You don't have to worry about anything. Where would you travel to? And I'm like, I want to go to New Zealand and I want to do the retreat with Monique. Like, that's what I want to do. Knowing like that's never going to happen, but that's my pie in the sky. This is where I want to go. And Adriana says Disney. And I was like, we can go to Disney World and I can now physically take you to Disney World. And so I am in the process of planning a trip to Disney World for her next May for her kind of senior graduation trip to Disney.
That is so incredible.
Yep.
It's just so wonderful. Well, let's just leave it here. Imagine today there's somebody on this call or someone who's going to be watching this recording, and thanks so much for letting me record this, Patty.
Yeah.
What would you say to them if they were in your shoes, how you were before starting Bright Line Eating? Or if they've just almost given up and they need to get back into the program?
I would say if you haven't read the book, read the book. I would say listen to the book. I'm an Audible person, and Susan Pierce Thompson narrates it, and I love when authors narrate their own books. If you've read the book, pick it up and read it again. There's going to be nuggets in there that you've forgotten. I actually joined the Food Freedom Boot Camp, so I'm in my second boot camp right now to kind of reaffirm my lines, help me kind of prepare me for this transition into maintenance because I have reached automaticity with my food. Now things are going to change again, which is going to kind of open that door, for my saboteur to kind of get in there. And again, the only moment that matters is this one right now. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what we've done before. It doesn't matter how many times you've tried and not reached your goal. All that matters is right now. So give yourself that chance. And just try it. Maybe it's just a matter of, doing the 3 meals a day, like I did, and then maybe you can gradually decrease your sugar or your flour. Maybe it's a matter of just commit your foods, that act of planning your food out the night before, using your food journal, plan your food out the night before, and just eat only and exactly that. And I don't care if you're writing down, I'm going to eat, I'm going to eat a Big Mac from McDonald's or, but commit to what you're going to eat and start to build that integrity with yourself and see, if kind of going all in you're not ready to do that, then just try some of these other little tweaks until you get to a point where for you're ready to try it and you're ready to go all in. I would say stay as connected as possible to other people who are living bright, because this is not the way of the world. Our world, everywhere you look, any place you're listening, you're seeing, anyone you're talking to, they're going to have that world mindset of food is about celebration. It's about entertainment. It's about comfort. Maybe it's about nourishing yourself, but not a lot. And how could you ever possibly enjoy your life without these things in it? That's what you're going to hear all the time. So just surround yourself with people who will encourage you to say, you don't need that, to enjoy your life and to live life to the fullest. You don't need that food to bring you joy.
Oh, all of that. Just totally. If I had a meme, I'd be saying this. Well, with that, we're going to close, but I would,
Okay.
could you speak again that Psalm 16, what that verse is? I really want to close with that because that is so powerful.
Yeah. So, Psalm 16, 5 and 6. You've assigned me my portion and my cup. You've made my lot secure. The boundary lines have fallen for me in safe places. Surely I have a delightful inheritance.
Absolutely beautiful. Patty, thank you so much for being here tonight and sharing your
Thank
story.
you.
We could have talked for another hour. And thank you, everyone, for being here. I'm going to close as we do each week with good night, stay bright, and don't let the bed bugs bite. Good night, everybody. Oh, Patty.
Yes.
How would you like to play 3-Question Thursday?
I would love to play 3-Question Thursday.
Okay, 3-Question Thursday, where everybody wins and I never know what I'm going to ask. Okay. Question number 1. Vegetables. How did you go from eating takeout all the time to getting in 20 ounces of vegetables a day? What is your go-to for vegetables?
Okay, so I hate vegetables. I would eat a salad. I could eat green beans and maybe some broccoli drowned in butter or cheese before I started Bright Light eating. So vegetables was a real challenge. Mashed cauliflower. I do tons of mashed cauliflower bowls, riced cauliflower. I discovered kohlrabi linguine, which is like a cabbage noodle. And so I'll do that kind of like for my spaghetti. So like for my marinara meals, I'll just kind of saute that in some garlic olive oil and some seasoning and kind of have that prepared for the week. And then I can kind of pull that out, heat it up with my marinara sauce and my chicken and Parmesan cheese, and I'm good there. And honestly, she says our taste buds change, and they really do. They have changed. So I like peppers now, but I'm still not like roasting vegetables and eating my vegetables. So I'm definitely camouflaging it. But you've got to remember your marinara sauce is vegetable. And your salsa is vegetable. And so, the majority of times, my meals probably have some element of that in there, which especially at dinner, kind of helps me. I'll typically do a 6-ounce salad for dinner, and then I'll have 8 ounces to kind of create whatever my meal is, kind of that bowl, that I'll have.
Okay, well, I got to ask you about the bowl thing because I have not made bowls.
Okay.
So how do you layer this bowl, or how do you do it? Are you putting the cauliflower in the bowl, you said?
I kind of mix it all together. So either mashed cauliflower or riced cauliflower. And then, so like it'll be about an 8-ounce bowl when it comes to the veggies. And so I'll do like 5 ounces of mashed cauliflower, 3 ounces of the salsa. And then you could either do like, and I always split my proteins. I really, truly always am splitting proteins. So I'll do 3 ounces of beans. So like black beans and pinto beans, 3 ounces. And then I have an ounce of shredded cheese. So I'll do half an ounce of shredded cheese on my salad and the other half of shredded cheese in my bowl. And then I'll add some taco seasoning, mix that all together, and I'm good to go. Or instead of the beans, I'll do my, ground beef that I've got seasoned with the taco seasoning. Or you could do grilled chicken or, whatever you would want your protein to be. So that's one of my go-tos. Another is I'll take 6 ounces of, I do this a lot for lunch. I'll do 6 ounces of broccoli and diced tomatoes. I'll typically steam my broccoli, season that with like garlic powder, salt, and pepper. I'll take 2 ounces of hummus. That's half of my protein. And then I'll do 1 thing of string cheese, which is typically an ounce. So that's my other half of my protein. And then I'll take a half ounce of almonds, which is my fat. And I'll mix that all together. And that's another bowl that I'll do for lunch.
You are a pro.
Yeah. So for me, it's kind of camouflages my vegetables.
So you went from DoorDash to Patty's perfect planning.
Yes, I know. I've had somebody who's like, you should write your own recipe book. I'm like, oh, no. But that's funny.
Not this week. Okay. Well, somebody asked a question and I'm going to do that.
Okay.
Patty, would you please share your prayer? The prayer that you say before your meal.
Oh, yes. Okay. Well, I'll kind of do the whole thing, or do you just want the I crossed the line?
Just the whole thing that you do.
Lord, I thank you for this meal. I ask that it nourish my body, that it heal my brain, my spirit, and my soul. I crossed the line 531 days ago, and I live here now. I keep my food clean. I eat with integrity, and my lines are bright. I'm mindful. I'm steadfast. I'm determined. I'm filled with hope and certainty, clarity and focus, energy and stamina. With you, Lord, I am unstoppable, and I am eternally grateful. Amen.
Beautiful. Well, I'll leave it right there. Thank you so much, Patty. Thanks for being on Starting Out Bright. And thank you for 3 Question Thursday.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Joy. Thanks. Good night, everybody. Stay bright.
Good night.